Okay, I'm so excited to be here with Twinnie. How's it going?
Good.
I just want to know, because this is a real thing. You're so pretty. Has that been hard to be this pretty?
God.
I mean, I know a lot of beautiful people, but you're so beautiful and you have this huge personality and you're such a star. And I just hope do people say just hope you're nice because you're so pretty?
Well, that's so nice of you. I'm coming back here again. This is great for my ego.
I just speak the truth. I was watching all your videos and hearing your songs. I'm like, damn, I'm catching feelings. Like you said, hypothetically, like what if we like mess around and catch some feelings or something? I'm like, I think I'm catching some feelings, Twinnie. You're so cool.
I don't really know what to say. Thank you.
I'm coming on strong.
Yeah, you are.
I know.
That's fine.
Don't come on lightly. It's really my personality. I come on like freaking bulldozer.
I don't swing that way. Neither do you, but it's nice.
I mean, back in the day, I made out with a few girls, but that part of my life is done.
Well, I appreciate it. Up until recently, I was like, the dating scene here in Nashville has been pretty dire.
Talk to me about that.
It's so different to the UK.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in a man?
I don't know whether I should say this on this podcast.
Yes, you should.
Well, yeah, I recently met somebody who is great. But before that, I was like, the bar is so low. And it's so different here because I think actually I said to this guy, I was like, if you're hanging out with me, you're not hanging out with any other girl. I don't get the hangout thing. It is not really a thing in the UK.
What do you mean?
When people are like, oh, do you want to hang out? I'm like, well, you're hanging out with me and only me.
Like from the start? Or do
from
you
the start. Like, I'm like.
What if you go on like a first date? Do you need like 2 dates though before you know you want to only hang out with someone? Or you just want
No, I just mean like, I want to know if somebody's being intentional with my time.
Totally.
Like, and then not like playing the field or like, you know, like I'm one of 10.
And you know what is so awesome too about you, and I feel this in your music, is you're just mature. You can tell you've lived life and you know things and you're not going to settle for stuff.
I'm 83.
She's 83 years old. That's why she's so damn stunning. I mean, you're ageless. But you can tell that you're just like, no one's going to pull one over on you. Like, you are here to be like yourself. You're here to be appreciated. But you're also like, you understand how it goes and you're not going to play games.
Yeah.
I can feel that in your
good.
music.
Good. Well,
So what's that like dating, being that way?
I mean, I feel like in music, that's what my message is always, like, be yourself, because I think like authenticity is like the highest vibrating frequency. You see that all online with like even certain creators, they're like so themselves down to a T, and you're like, that's why people are resonating with it. And music, the more personal you make it. But I think for dating, you know, I was in a long-term relationship, like 10 years.
And that's what your album's about.
Yeah.
See, there's a song called Bad Guy.
Bad guy. He wasn't a bad guy. It just ended really badly. He like emailed me to tell me it was over.
After 10 years?
Yeah, and blocked me on everything. Which now when I say it, I kind of laugh because I know the listener is probably going, she's psycho. You know, like what did she do?
Well, and also you have a song called Crazy Ex, which I love. It's so relatable because I'm like, aren't we all somebody's crazy ex?
Yeah.
But tell me, like, how do you date someone for 10 years and it end with an email breakup? Like, what went down? And how did y'all not want to get married?
Well, he did ask me to marry him. Well, he actually asked me if I wanted a ring or a Rolex for my birthday. And I was like, I just wasn't ready. And I like,
ready.
No, and I kept going back and forth to Nashville. And I think, you know, I've lived a lot. And I think like the more.
About what you've lived. We've got to go through that.
I think the more that you live, and I travel a lot, and like the way that I grew up as a gypsy, like I'm constantly, from a very young age, I could learn how to navigate people's like personalities and egos, and being in the music industry, you're always like, you know, trying to feel out a room. And I think like, I don't think we were emotionally mature to fulfill each other's emotional needs. I think we met really young and we were like, yeah, you're my forever. And then both of our careers, I think in order to make a relationship work, you have to put the relationship first and you both have to work together. But we were living kind of separate lives. Like he's in fashion, he owns a business, and I was trying to pursue music, and that has always been my first love. And he was super supportive of it. But the more we got older, and it wasn't like 10 full years. Like we'd had breaks and we lived together, and then we broke up, and then he bought a house right around the corner from my house. So it's like,
so y'all dragged it out.
We couldn't like get away from each other.
So there's obviously, it was a very deep person. It was an important relationship.
Yeah, it was like one of the best loves of my life, and it taught me a lot, but it was a hard love, you know? And I think, you know, I just kept coming back and forth to Nashville, and I think it just got to a point where we just wasn't like aligned anymore. I wanted different things, and I wasn't admitting it. You know, he was the only thing keeping me in London. And then I think, you know, when I went on tour, it was just like, and it was over some petty little argument. I think I blocked him because he came back from a trip and he didn't message me when he was back, and I was being pretty toxic. I was like, block. You know, I would rather block people for like a day until I've cooled down, and then I don't have to say anything that I will regret later.
Do you have a big temper?
I think I'm definitely feisty. If I don't say it, my face will. But yeah, no, I've definitely mellowed out as I've got older, and give people a lot of grace. I never used to understand that. I think like when you're young, you're like quite selfish about your own feelings, and you're just very tunnel visioned. You can't really see anything. And then when you go through stuff, you're like, oh yeah, well I was maybe wrong in that situation, or like, so now I try and take a deep breath. And honestly, I think even having a dog has given me a lot of patience. You know, it's like, and it takes the focus off me. It's something to look after. And my dog's Sunny.
It's a good name.
Yeah, it's a great
Can't
name.
go wrong with Sunny.
But for the most part, yeah. So I think we were both like trying to make it work, and it wasn't gonna work. And he is not a bad guy. He really isn't. He supported me a lot, but the way it ended is what really did the most damage. And I was like, yeah. And I was convinced that there was someone else. And
were you right?
I think I was right. Yeah.
You know,
I think I was right. I found out that recently. I think I was right.
How does that feel to know you're right though? Because
amazing.
It does.
Amazing.
I
felt so
that you wasted time, or that he lied and cheated and like was like.
I don't think he cheated. I definitely don't think he cheated. I think he didn't want to see me because I'm like really good at reading people. And I know, especially with him, if he was lying to me, and I think I would have been able to tell that he had just, you know, we wasn't treating each other very nicely.
Are you glad it probably ended though? Ultimately?
No, I am so thankful to him, because I wouldn't have had this album.
It's a good album.
I wouldn't have had I think he just set me free. Like I didn't want to do it. If he hadn't have left me, I don't think I'd have left him. I mean, I did leave him the first time, and then we tried to get back together, and it was just never really the same. But yeah, no, I recently sent him an email, actually. We love an email, apparently, me and him. Just so can't call. Yeah, for communication, very business. Hello. I just said, look, I know he's with someone else, and I was like, no disrespect to your partner by sending this, but I feel like, you know, you should hear this album before the rest of the world does. And he never replied, but at least I felt I've done the right thing. He must be thinking that like, he's not really on social media, but he must be like, this girl is really dragged out this breakup. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Well, 10 years of like living, you have a lot to write about, you know?
Yeah, and he was my best friend.
To process all that. I feel like every song's a different chapter to it.
Yeah, and it's a different emotion. Some of them are a little bit more rage than other, you know, but
what's it like being back out there though, after being, because like you started fully dating probably when you were in your 20s, and now you're in your 30s, and so it's like, what is the difference? Because you had this whole life that happened in between where you grew and evolved and learned so much about yourself and what you're looking for, but now the dating scene's different. Are you dating different types of people? Are you looking for a different type of person? Like, what's it like now?
When I moved to Nashville, it was a bit of a culture shock because of like the whole, like, I mean, ghosting is like massive here. Like, I just don't get how people can't have a conversation. Just tell them, just be like, hey, and I even say it to my girlfriends. I'm like, don't ghost that person. Like, they deserve more than that. Just communicate effectively.
Right.
Communication is everything, guys.
Preach.
Like, everything.
People are so scared of it,
So
though.
scared. And I don't know why. Probably because they're so used to, like, being on the phones. Like, I'm such a caller, like, or a FaceTime. I need to see somebody's face, especially if we're having an important conversation. Like, I feel like where there's conflict, two people care. It's not a bad thing. Like, people think conflict is negative, and it's not. It's just addressing the things that you need to address, because sometimes if you don't communicate effectively, and especially girls do this, we assume we've all done it, and then we spiral, and it's like guys and girls just think completely differently. And I have gotten better, definitely. I mean, I think I've always been a really good communicator, because I grew up, like, my mum and dad's relationship was a bit of a sham. They divorced. Like,
what do you mean?
Oh, he had an affair, like a kid to another woman. Like, I love my dad, and I'm so thankful he did that, because I love my brother. But I think even growing up in that situation, being a referee,
that you can be thankful.
Oh, I mean, listen, shit happens in life. Life is messy. No, I try not to judge anyone, because, you know, if I have kids, I don't know what they're going to do, you know, and we're all just like little kids trying to work it out. That's
Nobody
it.
knows what they're doing.
And we're just trying to do our best all the time. And I think, like, the communication thing for me is sometimes it's difficult in a romantic setting, because firstly, you're very vulnerable when you get with someone. I felt very, very vulnerable after that breakup, and I think I just, like, dated a few people that were completely not right, but I just needed some attention or some, like, confidence boost to know that, yeah, I was desirable, and, like, I was a good person.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I mean, when your confidence is that low, when he did that to me, I spent 3 weeks in my room, like, I just didn't come out. Like, I was a shell of a person. And I think I'm a pretty strong person and have been through a lot, that nothing really bothers me. I'm like, it's all gonna work out in the end. But that completely, I got dropped by my label in August, and then in the September he was gone, and I was like, I feel like the universe or God, whatever you believe in, like, is just like going, okay, clean slate. I'm like, no, I don't want this. I'm not ready. I'm not stable enough for this. So it was amazing, because I got to know me again after all them years, which sounds really stupid,
No,
but
it doesn't. What'd you find out?
that I'm really strong, and I like myself. I really like myself.
Now that's huge. I feel like that, especially, so many people, but women especially, can't say that about themselves.
Yeah, I like myself. I get a bit emotional, because I think about, like, just everything that I've been through. And, like, you know, I was talking to my friend, I've got this album coming out, and I'm like, you know, when people listen to it, it's like, it's just another album, but they don't really realize, like, the process that you go through of, like, writing all that stuff, and the things that have happened since me breaking up. Like, one of them songs, The Way I Loved You, I got to debut at the Opry, and there's been, even when I think about, like, all the people that I've met, I'm gonna get emotional, because I love my friends. So all the people that I've met, and, like, the opportunities that have been given to me, that would have never have happened if I'd have stayed there. And to me, that is, like, although it hurt, and growing and evolving does hurt, it's not easy, but I think about how much I love those people, and I would have never have met them. And that's, like, a really, like, really sweet feeling. And just, you know, you never know who is out there that you haven't met that's gonna love you.
Oh,
and
I love that.
That's, like, I get so emotional when I think about that, because it was such a dark road that I was on. I mean, it's not even 12 o'clock and I'm already crying.
Bring it on. I love some good tears. That's, like,
I'm an ugly crier.
You are not an ugly anything. It's not possible. That has now been determined.
But yeah, no, it's been wild, and it's been amazing.